show of hands, how many of you are using any form of AI in your business? ChatGPT, nice, okay, cool. Keep your hands up if you're using Claude. A few of you. ChatGPT, nice, ChatGPT. Okay, cool. Gemini? How many of you are like, I've never even heard these terms before? Don't be shy. Okay. How many of you are using agents in the business? Awesome. A couple people. Workflows, AI workflows, automations. Yes? Okay, cool. So I realized that I was sitting in the back there, not a slides person. I didn't even give any kind of background about me in the slides here. So very, very quick. 2012, I left my corporate job. I was selling online advertising for years for AOL and Yahoo and Funny or Die and other big companies, and left that world 2012. 2014, went out on my own, started my own online business teaching Facebook ads back then, and have been doing this whole online business thing for 11 and a half years now. Memberships, online courses, group coaching programs, masterminds, 6-month masterminds, you name it, I've sold it. So if you have any questions with regard to any of those things in terms of AI or honestly whatever, had a podcast, started podcasting in 2010, sold my podcast in 2023 after getting burned out. I just literally burned out. Medical problems, emotional, physical, all that, you name it. And then I was I remember it super clearly, I was on a group coaching call with my mastermind at the time, the one I hosted. And somebody brought up this ChatGPT thing. This is January of 2023. So it's been out, quote unquote, publicly for 6 weeks, 5 weeks at that point. And they said, yeah, I've been using this ChatGPT thing, and a couple people chimed in. And this group really, excuse me, they shifted their focus very quickly, kind of like squirrel, we go chase that. So it was my job, and I do that too, by the way, which makes it harder with AI because there's a new tool every day. I remember saying to them, let's not get distracted by the shiny object. It's ChatGPT. 2 weeks later, I was trying to come up with podcast titles for my podcasts. And what did I do? Let's go try out this ChatGPT thing. I was hooked. I found that was the one thing that energized me after being burned out, excuse me, beginning of 2023. I shut my business down. I took 4 months off. I created back when it wasn't cool to do it, I created a cloned version of 10 years of coaching. I had 4 full-time VAs working on it for 4 months, full-time, gathering all my information, and I created what I call Pick Rick's Brain coaching chatbot that I still have today. Then I sold the podcast and I started YouTube 15 months ago. And I started my membership as well. One offer, it's all I have. And I have a very small team, and the rest of it is what we're gonna be talking about here today. So that's my very quick spiel about my my background. How many of you wish you could clone yourself? How many of you are wearing multiple hats in your business? You're creating content, you're marketing, customer service, you're the operations person, you name it. Yes? Okay, cool. It is possible, honestly. I had the big team, I had the big office. I didn't want that when I came back. I wanted small team. I have one part-time community manager. I have she's part-time, VA in the Philippines who's been with me for several years, and the rest is AI. I like that. I like it lean, keep it small, and agile. So what we're gonna be doing today, and I'm gonna leave plenty of time for questions at the end. I will stay as long as you want afterwards if I'm not able to answer your questions up here. We're gonna be talking about what AI agents actually are. A lot of people get confused around when we're talking about agents, what actually are they? How to identify what I like to call the AI agentable tasks, okay? I will give you some forethought there. It's the dreaded task that nobody likes to do, but we're gonna do it. Now, we're not gonna do it today, but you will do it. Real world examples, prompts and context of agents, and getting started, okay? So I want you to think about creating an agent is like you're training an intern, but that intern has a PhD. That intern is very smart. Maybe it has multiple PhDs, okay? So you have to give it as much relevant information to you and your business and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're wanting it to do as possible, right? So you have a new intern come into your business, you wouldn't just say, go write me a podcast episode, a podcast outline. You'd give them context. Excuse me, this is what the podcast is. This is what we talk about. These are past episodes. These are the types of guests I like to have. Or, you know what, I do solo episodes or whatever it might be. You need to give them context, right? Agents are no different, okay? So there's 3 modalities of AI that I really want you to understand. The first one is the chatbot. That's your standard, I type in my question to ChatGPT and I get an answer, or Claude. You ask it to do something, it gives you an answer back. Sometimes it makes no sense at all. But chatbot, standard chatbot, yes. And since GPT-5 came out, anybody just maddening experience with GPT-5 since it came out? Yes, my hand is super raised. I did a whole video about it. It's maddening. Copilot. So there's the Copilot modality. That is where there's AI inside an existing tool like Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot, by the way, is going to be bringing more of Claude into it. They just announced it today. Cursor. So tools that have AI built into it that you can use the AI to make and do things easier. Then we've got our agent, okay? The agent works on your behalf, on its own. So I'm going to be talking about some tools here today. I'll talk about Relay. I'll answer any questions that you have about any of the tools, but Relay, N8N, more advanced. Lindy, you can do it with Zapier. You can do it with Make. MindPal, agent, okay? So when you think of an agent, I literally want you to think about the special agent like James Bond, Jason Bourne, right? So you give them a mission, you give them the resources, you give them the context or what have you, and they autonomously go and accomplish the task, the mission, right? You're not telling them, exactly what to do every step of the way. That's the difference with an agent. You have an end goal. Here are the resources to do it. Go do it. How exactly it's done is not, you don't have to do that. It's up to the agent to do it. Yeah, you give it parameters and stuff like that. Do y'all remember, she hasn't been bowling yet, but I have a 6.5-year-old daughter. And so when we take her bowling, we'll start off with the bumpers, right? It's the same sort of thing. It keeps them in the lane. Think of it like that. When you're creating an agent, you're giving some parameters from which to stay without swaying too far off course, okay? So regular ChatGPT, you say, write an email. It writes an email, done. But with an agent, you would say, I want to write an email to Pat. Ask him about being on his podcast. You can say, I want you to review his recent episodes, propose 3 relevant ideas based on my expertise or experience. The agent goes and does the research. You don't tell it where to go. It'll write the email with context because you've given it that information about yourself and it's learning through its research process what Pat's podcast is about. It could even send the email on your behalf if you want it to. We'll talk more about that. See the difference there? ChatGPT, type in, write me an email to Pat. You have to go do the research yourself. You can use a tool like Manus for this, M-A-N-U-S. You can use GenSpark for this, another tool. Both of those have free versions. So, how do we figure out what's agentable? How many of you have ever done a task audit in your business? Only a few. Oh, you're going to love this exercise. All right, here's what I want you to do. 3 to 5 days, preferably a little bit longer. I want you to write down, I'm not going to lie, it's a pain, it's a pain, right? Write down everything you do in your business. From 9 to 9:45, I did email. From 9:45 to 10, I took a break. From 10 to 11:30, I worked on this project, et cetera, et cetera. Track yourself for 5 days, 5 normal business days, not when you're like attending a conference like this or if you're launching a product or what have you, okay? What that's gonna give you, it's gonna give you gold on so many different levels. What you're looking for are those repetitive tasks, things that you do daily, things you do weekly, monthly. You're looking for the things that have clear steps. How many of you have SOPs in your business, standard operating procedures? Some of you, okay. This is the time you are going to want to create SOPs for your business. There's a lot of tools out there that make it super easy. Do you all use Loom to screen record? Okay. If you get the AI version of Loom, I think it's like $6 extra a month. There's a button there that says create SOP out of what you just recorded on your screen. And it'll create the SOP for you. So all you have to do is just record your screen doing some task or what have you. Preferably, it makes it easier to talk through as you're doing it, but then you'll create the SOP. Start building that library of SOPs up, because if you don't know how something is done specifically for a task, an agent is gonna have a hard time figuring it out, okay? Now, yes, I did say earlier, like you give it the task, give the agent a task, and it will figure out how to do it. But if you don't know any of the parameters to get it done, the agent isn't gonna know either for your specific business, okay? The other thing too, things that drain your energy. What are some things that drain your energy in your business? Just throw it out. Email. What was that? Scheduling, oh, it's the worst, right? Yes, calendar management. Yes. And the what? Yes. Was there another one in here?
Bookkeeping and payroll.
Yes, bookkeeping and payroll, yep. All right, so I wouldn't start with bookkeeping and payroll because, thank you for the lead into the next one. Don't start with, something that is high risk. You can get there, right? And bookkeeping is actually pretty low risk, honestly. But payroll, I wouldn't start there. You want to start with the low risk stuff that's not going to like break the business, right? If something goes wrong. Social media, email, content creation, content repurposing, calendar management, scheduling, calls, all that stuff. Follow up for any types of coaching calls that you might have. You just reminded me, so with the YouTube channel, so for every video, I have 4 folders in a Google Drive folder, one for the description, the thumbnails, the raw video, et cetera, et cetera. I literally Slack myself the name of the title or the title of the video in the specific channel. I already have the title. I click go and that fires off an agent automation that creates those folders for me with Google Docs in them. So all I have to do is just go and update them really quick. Like that little thing that saves me that drains my energy, right? It saves me so much time. It's just such a little thing. I wouldn't start with sending emails on your behalf, right? Work up to that. I think it's a little bit too risky. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So key questions to ask yourself: is it important when you do your task audit? Like, should you be doing it in the first place? All right? You're going to find there's a lot of things that you're like, I don't even need to be doing this. This is not really growing my business. Again, does it have clear steps? Can you document the process? And then what's the worst case scenario? Something goes wrong. What's the worst case scenario? Right? If you send out, if you post a social media post that has typos and whatever, it's not the end of the world, right? But if you do payroll, if you're trying to automate payroll, there's bigger repercussions with that, right? Super, super key here. This is kind of a pro tip. Not a lot of people talk about this. Map out your workflow before you create it. Like, we're going to talk about this in just a minute. Before you create the workflow. I don't care if you write it out on your iPad or pen and paper or use a tool like Whimsical or Miro or what, or I have people just like, they type it out. So it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. That is going to save you so much time. I'm a very visual person, so the type of image that you see here, if I can draw that out beforehand and I can look like, ooh, you know what? I want to move this over here and just reorder it a little bit. It's going to save so much time when you've mapped it out, drawn it out, okay? Again, doesn't matter how you do it. The key is do it, okay? Just map it out. All right, so here's some simple no-code agents. By the way, I am not a technical person. A lot of people don't believe me. I am not a technical person. I can figure things out, but I'm not a technical person. If you're like, hey, Rick, can you, use React and Python code to do, I'm like, no, I have no idea. Like, I've heard of those things, but I don't know what to do. All right, here's an example. The screenshot here, we'll talk more about this. This tool is called Relay.app. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. I have gotten to know the founder because I like the tool. I'm not an affiliate for them in any way. Actually, they don't even have an affiliate program. So for as much as I talk about them, I wish they had an affiliate program. But it's literally built for non-technical people, okay? It's very intuitive. You can even go into the assistant there and tell it, I want such and such type of agent. This is what I want it to do, etc., and it will build it for you, okay? It's certainly not the only tool that will do that. But so here's one that I like a lot that I use in my business. And then when I shared this with my community, they loved it as well. So this is one where you can pick 5, 6, whatever people, influencers in your niche on LinkedIn that you think they're doing a good job. And you're like, I wonder what they're doing to create such engaging posts. Well, you can create an agent, workflow that will go monitor those accounts every single day. It will look at their top performing, however many posts that you deem that you want to watch. For me, I watch their top 10. And it will analyze those posts. It'll tell you what kind of engagement they got. It'll analyze it and tell you why it thinks it's getting that, and those posts are doing really well. And then it will take those learnings, and based on its knowledge of you and your business, it will write you LinkedIn posts based on topics that are relevant to your business and your audience, using the learnings of the posts that are doing well. It's a very basic agent workflow. And then it'll write the posts, and you can even publish it. You can even connect it to LinkedIn if you want and have it publish. I like to review stuff before it goes public, anything, honestly. But this is a very, very simple example, right? So I'm going to show you a few more examples here. You might be like, well, Rick, I don't do this. I don't post on LinkedIn. I post on whatever, TikTok, or I post on Facebook or Instagram or what have you. Some platforms are easier to do than others. LinkedIn's easier because it's public content, right? You can't scrape legally. You can't scrape Facebook or Instagram, right? Or even TikTok. However, you can give it some examples of other people's posts that you see on these platforms and do the exact same thing. It just wouldn't necessarily be automated, where I have this run every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Okay, so the trigger in this particular agent workflow is a time-based trigger. So Friday morning, 8 o'clock, it runs. It delivers me a report in Slack. I use Slack a lot. And it's great. And then it will write the posts over in Google Docs so I can take a look at it. The next one, customer service. I heard lots of email, right? This will monitor incoming emails. Again, this is built in Relay. You can do this in any of the platforms. The trigger here that I've set up is when I get a new email in my Gmail. Boom, agent workflow is triggered. It analyzes the email coming in, tries to figure out what's being asked, like what's the sentiment of the email, etc. It'll sort it. It will look at my FAQ database. So I have a Google sheet of questions that I normally get and answers to them. It will reference that database. It'll write a response, and then it will put it in my drafts folder in Gmail. if it can't figure out the question, or if the answer is not in my database, it'll Slack my team or me to let me know. And then it will either myself or my team will usually do it, will update the FAQ Google Sheet. To go more advanced with it, I can put an extra step in this to tell it to update itself. Say, hey, this wasn't, this question, and here's the answer, wasn't in the Google Sheet. Update it yourself. Yourself being the AI. Again, very easy to set up. Saves you, how much time do you think this would save you? Like hours, I would assume, right? Content repurposing agent. So how many of you create what I like to call a pillar piece of content? Excuse me, something you create every single week, whether it's a podcast episode, awesome, YouTube video, blog post. Do we all create content regularly? Yes? Cool, awesome. So repurposing it, you've heard about repurposing, right? Take one pillar piece of content and then break it up into 17 pieces of content. Very time consuming or very expensive if you hire somebody to do that. Very easy to do with AI, right? So the problem is you create great content, but struggle to be quote unquote everywhere, like everybody says that we should. So what the agent does, takes that one piece of content, extracts the key insights, quotes, whatever it is that you want it to do. And then, I've just listed off different things here, but LinkedIn post, email, newsletter content, Twitter threads, Instagram carousel, TikTok script, podcast show notes, YouTube shorts, it will do all that stuff in a matter of seconds. So FinCon, I look at setting these agents up like passive income, right? Y'all heard from Pat earlier. Pat's a very dear friend of mine. Smart passive income, it's the same concept. Like you put the work in up front, and then you get paid off in spades as time goes on because you're building these assets. And what you're building, and I'm going to show you here in a second, you're building, I want you to think about it, that you're adding team members to your team. And so treat it like that rather than I'm just building another tool. Okay? And so one 30-minute video becomes however many pieces of content that you want. So you create once and distribute it wherever you want. Okay? All right, the instructions matter. So it's a little bit easier with agents, honestly, as opposed to prompting with ChatGPT or Claude. And that's outside the scope of this presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions about it. But you're just basically telling the agent what you want it to do. And I was having this conversation, earlier today with somebody. It sounds so easy to do, to be able to describe what you want done, but so many of us struggle with it, right? Myself included. We know what we want, but we can't quite articulate it, right? So what I'd recommend, by the way, and this is not agent specific, but if you're not already talking to ChatGPT or Claude, please start, because it's just having a conversation with it. Okay, all the apps now have their advanced voice mode, they used to call it. It's all built in now, even on the desktop. So we don't want to say something like research content ideas. Okay. It will go research content ideas. They probably won't be very helpful for you, but we need to be a little bit more specific, okay? So we go from that to this, okay? You are a content research specialist. We've given it a role. So we're essentially setting the AI up right from the start to succeed, but because we're telling it the type of role we want it to have, and so we want it to go down this path, if you will. So we say, when given a topic, research 5 to 7 content angles. You might be like, I just want 3, I want 25, whatever it is. So now you're being specific with that. And then for each angle, provide the main point, supporting data or examples, potential controversy or debate. Always fact check claims, please. Hallucination, do y'all know what hallucinating is with AI? It just makes stuff up. It's not going away. OpenAI just released a paper, I believe on Monday, that's what they said. They basically, hallucinating is here to stay, right? And so with that, even if we say don't make stuff up, it is still going to make things up. Please fact check everything, okay? That's why when people say, well, can I just have it write my email and then just go stick it into ConvertKit or Kit? Well, yes, you can, but please look at it first, okay? It's not copy and paste. If you can't verify something, verify it as unverified, report findings in a structured format. So you can tell it that you want it in a table format or whatever it is. Claude now, just as of yesterday, you can now edit Excel, PowerPoint slides, and not just read. It's all integrated into Claude now. So notice the difference here? You go from research content ideas to being a lot more specific with that, with the instructions here. And remember, we are training a team member. We're not just typing in a question to get a response. The whole game changes when you start thinking through that type of lens for your business. Here's the other thing, and I know that this is going to bring questions up, which is fine. Bring the questions. Context, you've heard context is everything. Context is so important when it comes to agents. Again, going back to the intern with the PhD, we have to give it resources. We have to give it context to be able to do its job, okay? So agents need the right information at the right time. So if you have a 5-step agent workflow, step number 3 might need different context, might need access to different context than in step 5. Okay, so the context is really important. So again, if you're writing LinkedIn posts, so if we go to that first workflow I showed you, the AI is going to want, hopefully, your brand voice, your writing style, recent content performance, any kind of stats about it wants to know what you should tell it about your audience, so you don't get some generic output. Everyone always says, well, I have it right, but it just sounds robotic. Well, it's not the AI's fault. It's the harsh truth. We have to teach it to sound like us, okay? This whole thing's called context engineering, and it's giving the right context at the right time in our agent workflows. So a few other common mistakes: starting too big. We try to automate our entire business on day one. Start small. I know it gets really, it may not seem like it, but it gets really exciting when you get into it and you see like, holy cow, this is saving me time, it's saving me money, and my profit's going up in the business because I can delegate these types of things to agents that I'm building. Over trusting too quickly. One success doesn't mean that, holy cow, I can just keep doing this all, every day, right? And building this and just hitting out of the park every time. 9 times out of 10, you build an agent, it is not going to work the way that you want it to the first time. The first probably 8 to 10 times. You have to keep tweaking it. You have to keep iterating it, okay? And then, again, it's going to make stuff up. Don't forget it's still AI, right? And so pick your first agent. So the next one, I'm going to jump to the next one here in just a second. But again, low risk, clear process, something that has immediate time savings for you. And then choose a tool. There's a million tools out there that can do this stuff, okay? So again, I use Relay.app. I use actually all of these, it's my job. But Relay.app is really, really good. Lindy.ai is really good. MindPal is really good. For you more technical people, N8N is really good. You can do a lot of this with Zapier. You can do a lot of this with Make.com. And there's different levels of sort of technical experience that you're going to want to expect when you go to one of these tools. The important thing here is, like, I can talk all about how much I love Claude, or I use Relay.app in my business all the time. And you might be like, I don't like that. I tried it, I don't like it. I talked to somebody earlier today and they're like, yeah, I tried Relay and I have a much better job with my ChatGPT GPTs. Amazing. You have to find what works for you. Just because somebody's talking about this tool, try it out if it makes sense and figure out what feels best for you and what you like the best. Okay? Caveat or side note, I should say on that, don't start with the tool, start with the problem. Okay? So I hear it every single day, like, oh, I hear about this new tool. How can I use that in my business? No. We're asking the wrong question. What problem or challenge do you want to solve? So like somebody over there mentioned scheduling meetings, right? So that's the problem we want to solve. So there's lots of tools that are ways to do that, but we don't start with the tool and say, ooh, can this solve my scheduling meetings? We start with the problem first, or the challenge that you want to fix. So here's my challenge for you, then we'll get into questions. Do your task audit next week. It is, I'm not going to lie, it is the worst exercise ever. Write it down, grab whatever works for you. Write it down, pen and paper, on your phone, in an app, whatever it is. Track what you're doing in the business and how long it takes you, okay? I guarantee you're going to find out like, holy cow, I spent that long doing that. I don't even have to do that. Why am I doing that? Why? That's not growing my business. That's not moving forward. Then pick one agent to build. Okay. Pick one challenge. Map it out. Like, what are the steps that need to go into? So if you wanted to tackle email, well, what types of emails do you get? Right? So for me, I get AI product updates. I get AI news. I get general questions. I get YouTube collab emails, I get personal emails, I get, what else do I get? I mean, I get spam. But the first thing is like, okay, what happens? What do I want the AI agent to do when I get a YouTube collaboration email? So I can tell it that. So again, that comes with mapping it out. Then I can start to solve that problem. Then you build in your chosen tool, right? Whatever tool that you want to use. A lot of them have free trials that you can use, and then don't forget test and iterate. It's not going to be like amazing out of the gates. Okay, I used to teach Facebook ads, and people would say to me, "Rick, my ads aren't working." I'm like, "Okay, well, I knew the answer right before as soon as they said that." And I said, "Well, how long have you been running ads?" And they're like, "Well, I started on Monday." I'm like, "Well, today's Wednesday. Like, how much have you spent?" "I spent $15. Okay, it's not the ads that aren't working. It's your approach to this, and you got to give it more time. It's the same type of thing. It's going to take some time to get into it and to get these things working, okay? And then again, it's just about monitoring, adjusting, and adapting. And once you've dialed in that first one and you're like, holy cow, then it's like, I want to do my whole business like this. Finding, one thing I did on the plane ride this morning, I live in San Diego. So I flew up this morning. One of the things I was doing, and I'm always thinking about this, is like, what new agents I want to build in the business. Like again, it's not, I need to use this tool. It's what do I want to make easier in the business? And then I just follow the exact same process that we're talking about here. So, questions?